Hello everyone and welcome to the February online meetup with AWS User Group Bangalore. For today's session, we are going to learn the magic of CloudFormation from Avinash Dalvi, who is a full stack developer with EagleView India. So Avinash has a combined experience of 10 years as a full stack developer, as an architect for building solutions and products for automation, and in the e-commerce and finance domain. He is a strong follower of open source and uses PHP, Python, AWS, and Angular as the technology stack to build products. So do check out his blogs at theinternetkata.com. So without further ado, over to you, Avinash. Take it away.
Thank you, Ransi, and thanks for giving the opportunity. Hi, all. I think Ransi has introduced me in a great context, so I will not repeat the same thing. So, hi, all again. So, we'll start, I think, immediately. But again, I'll tell you myself, Avinash Shashikant Dalvi. So, I'm going to talk about the the magic of the AWS CloudFormation. So, let me share my screen. Okay, so have you seen this slide, right? So it's to know about magic of the AWS Cloud Formation. So it's like a magic. What exactly? So we'll get to know like one by one, like what exactly AWS Cloud Formation magic does. So let's quickly walk through what is the agenda for today's session. I'll just walk through the what is the Cloud Formation, component of the Cloud Formation, benefit of Cloud Formation, how generally it works, and what are the prerequisites for a cloud formation to kickstart? Like, what should we know before we start or pick up the cloud formation? And have a small demo about to creation of the Lambda API gateway and SNS connections. Okay, and we'll have then the discussion session. If you have any questions, you can just like uh, keep it as a text. I'll be more happy to answer. So let's get started to the next. What is the cloud formation? uh, have you seen the cloud formation? If you distribute the word like in the cloud and formation, the word itself say the cloud formation. So think or which tool which form the cloud. Okay, so AWS cloud formation is a thing, generally it's a tool used for to creation of the all the AWS resources or a product which the AWS has provided. So AWS CloudFormation is a magic which enable developers and businesses easy to create a stack of the related AWS product or external resources and manage them in right order. Have you seen the below the pictures? Like it has a template, it has a formation and a stack. So template, like we will have a predefined template or the defined template which can be reused multiple times, and based on the template you have to form the cloud and then the create a stack of the cloud. Okay, we'll go next. What are the component of cloud formation? Okay, the cloud formation consists of the three things. The template, which generally support a two type of format. One is a YML format and one is a JSON format. Second is the stack. Stack is a collection of AWS resources. Like suppose if you want to create a AWS API gateway or AWS S3 bucket or AWS Lambda or EC2, that have called, if you have collected all the resources, that called a stack. So whenever you are creating a cloud formation, it creates a stack of the particular resources. And third is a change set. Change set is the action of the AWS resources, which has the creation of change set and execution of change set. So it's like when you upload a CloudFormation template and when you say execute, it first create a change set. Whatever the AWS resources you provided with the stack, it will first keep it ready with the template and then it go to the execution of change. So we'll see that when you are running the demo, how the event happens in the AWS cloud formation. Now I'll walk you through it. Is the benefit of cloud formation. So what happened? It automate the best practices, simplify infrastructure management, integrate with the other services. So let me just come back to the second point. Why simplify the infrastructure management? Generally, cloud formation work as a infra as a code. So You no need to worry about if there's something wrong in the AWS server or any server, if you crash or anything, you have a template ready. So within a second or within a minute, you can deploy it, redeploy with the same configuration which we have the previous production or in other environment. So it's like a work as the infra as a code. That's why it called a simplified infrastructure management. Third one is integrate with the other AWS services. So it integrate with all the AWS services which provide. So CloudFormations like support all AWS services. Fourth, manage third party and private resources also, and it extend the CloudFormation with the community. Next, the easily control and track the changes for infrastructure. Like as I said, right, it has a change set, like creation of change set and execution of change set. So it show like it's like initiated, created, then successfully. It has the changes in a track. So every change set has the event particular to that. So whenever you are creating any resources, it has a life cycle of that particular thing, which tell about like, oh, whether it done or not done, whether it fail, so can we roll back that? All these are the there. And as I said, like in the second point, right? Infra is the code. So last point is the same thing, the reusability of infra. So like it's like we are storing our template of all the infrastructure, and anytime we want to create a duplicate server or multiple server or restore server, you can do it. So that's about the benefit of CloudFormation. Now, how it work? I simplify a little bit about in a graphical way. So it's like a create or use any existing template. So like we can have there are samples provided by the AWS for the creation of templates, right? So if you go to the AWS documentation, a pretty good documentation about how to create a Lambda, how to create a EC2. They have a sample created for. You can use the existing template also. And even in a CloudFormation console has a designer for CloudFormation, or it has some predefined like a template where you can select the resources which selected you want to use it can use it, or you can create a custom template based on your requirement, and then save that completely locally. And then you have to upload it to either in the S3 bucket, or uh, by using the console of the CloudFormation, you can upload automatically to the S3 bucket also. There are two ways to do it. I manually upload it, or like it can be a directly map it to while doing the CloudFormation. And third step is like when you're using the CloudFormation to create a stack, right? It create based on your template, it constructs all the stack on top of everything. If anything is interlinked to each other, they will interlink and keep it ready with the creation of a chain set, and then it will execute the chain set. So that's about how it work. I think you will walk through it when I'm doing the demo. So I think before we start about the CloudFormation's demo, like what are the prerequisites generally people or user need to be know before we start off there? Like first point is like initial knowledge about AWS resources and their property references. Why it required? Because if you not having the details about like what are the AWS resources, okay, what are the property? Like example of the API gateway. API gateway has the API point, then it has a resources, then it has a method, like these are the properties defined to particular resources. So each and every component or each and every resources has their different property. So we should know before we started a CloudFormation what resources I'm going to use it, what are the different property references for that, so that then only I can use it properly. And if you want to interlink between the two resources, what are the interlink parameter need to be used. Now second point is the intrinsic function. Intrinsic is like an essential function, generally is not mandatory, but it's good to have the best practice to use it. So there are I have shown in the right side of the image, there are list of the functions, intrinsic functions, like function base 54, function relab, conditions function find in map, function get attribute. So like quickly, function get attribute like if you have a like example, like EC2 resources, I want to know the EC2 ARN. Okay, so EC2, whatever the EC2 name will be there, dot ARN, okay, that I can get it using the get attribute. Okay, another is the import value. So I can predefine some dynamic value. If you have a multiple environment like production, test stage, right, you can predefine that value, and based on the production environment, ARN will automatically change. So no need to hard code or give an option in your code. Like these are the environment account ID, these are the account ID. You can define in your CloudFormation using an import or export value, and you can use it very feasibly. This is where we can manage properly the environment specific template. So like you have to create only one template and you can use for multiples environment wise. So these are like multiple functions available. We'll use some of that function in our demo. Wow. So it's now a demo time. So what are we are going to do it in a demo, right? We are going to do it into a demo, like the creation of Lambda, then pointing the Lambda to the particular API gateway, okay, and running the API gateway and see whether it's working or not, and mapping a SNS, okay, SNS to the Lambda for a subscription, either is a success failure or is a kind of thing. So I'll just quickly tell about like what is that like Lambda. Lambda is a microservices provided by the AWS, which generally doesn't need to know about the end user what are the infrastructure are they using it. You have to just tell that I'm going to use this language, I'm going to use this much execution time, this much execution memory, and then done. That's the beauty of the Lambda. Okay. So no need to create a server and install everything and everything. Like, no need to worry about it. So Lambda is a kind of microservices. The same API gateway. API gateway is like a REST API endpoint. So API gateway point to the multiple endpoint. It can point to the S3 bucket. It can point to Lambda. It can point to the edge. So generally, it work as a REST endpoint where it point to the particular backend, and based on the backend, it serve the result to the particular endpoint. What is the SNS? SNS is a simple notification service. Generally, SNS is used in terms of the PubSub model also, or kind of like PubSub is like a publisher subscriber. Okay, so it has a publisher, it has a subscriber. So it keep listening the particular thing whenever particular event occur. It listen that and subscribe to the next level. The whoever subscriber next level, it will start their job. So SNS has that kind of beauty to create a particular event model or create a flow diagram of particular application, or you can like I will give example of you can create a full life cycle of the particular application, like start from the registration to the submission based on the SNS also. Okay, so let's start with the demo. I think you have a pretty idea about what the Lambda and the API gateway and SNS. So let me just start with the demo. So what exactly generally we required? Okay, so I have already created one small sample project, and inside the sample project, it is available in the GitHub. I'll share a link after the our session. So it has a sample YML file. Okay, these are the standard of the their work. Okay, so that can be found in AWS resources whenever you found for the CloudFormation template, right? If you search the CloudFormation, they will have their standards to start with use it, and then based on the resources what you have to choose it, you have to select it the resources. Now in our demo we are going to use the Lambda and API gateway and SNS, so we'll see that how it works. Okay, so we'll go one by one. I already created it, so I'll walk through one by one each and every part, why we created, why it's required to be there. So this is the standard like AWS template format version they generally use kind of standard there. Then I'm here using a parameter. Like this parameter can be used as a dynamic parameter also. You can provide if you have a multiple values, you can provide a multiple values also. Now in our demo, we have only single value of a particular variable. So this variable will be displayed in a CloudFormation console. So it artifact bucket, Lambda artifact keys, and formation. What artifact bucket? Bucket is where which bucket I'm going to use for the uploading the Lambda code. Artifact key is what is the path of the particular the GIF file of the Lambda code, and function name, like what is the Lambda function name. So this is not a mandatory, but this is a good to have that and best practice to follow it. So based on that, you can have a choices, or you can have a default value if something is not provided by the code. Like that, it can use it. And this parameter can be passed through a different your deployment process, like a Jenkins or any other deployment build tool you use, right? Based on the generic file, you can pass the variable to the SAML and it can use as the variable. Now, this is a major important key part of this template, the resources. Once you start resources, it has a like hierarchy to use it. So you can see here hierarchy. So I'll go first with the API gateway. Okay, what exactly API gateway required? So I'm going to use the API gateway. API gateway has a REST API as a component, then it has a resources, and then it has a method. So let's start with the Lambda API. So this name can be a customized. This is not required to be has the same name. So whatever the project you are going to use it, you can customize your name as per your requirement. So I'm using the like my demo is a Lambda API. So I'll use the Lambda API gateway REST API as a name. So these are the type like AWS API gateway REST API. Okay. Then property. Property will be API key resource type, what the header. These are the very standard thing. Description, what exactly API gateway is used to her. And the endpoint, what endpoint we are going to use it. So endpoint name is a Lambda API. So the API name will be, when I create an API, it will be a Lambda API. Okay. This is also customized name. You can use whatever the name to use it in. Now, second is the Lambda API gateway resources. So resources like when you're creating an endpoint, inside that you have to create a resources. Either like example, like if you have a resource called employee, student, and then inside it can be have a get employed or get or post methods like that. It can be resources. So I'm going to use the resources as the Lambda as the path part. Okay. So now here, as you can see, now these are the hierarchy. Like first is the REST API, second is the resources, third is the get method. How do I interlink with that? The property has the parent ID here. So what parent ID? So I'm using here the get attribute as a Lambda API gateway REST API dot root resource ID. So whatever the resource ID will be there, it will be is getting by. So when I created this API, it will be mapped to the particular resource ID to the parent ID. So automatically it will interlink this resource to the REST API. And the REST API ID will be this. So what is the reference? Reference is like, okay, which API ID I have to refer it. So that reference variable is used as a this. So you can use the same name, whatever name you given for REST API function type, that can be used here. Now, third is the in an API gateway, the Lambda API gateway method. So like I'm going to use a post method. Like if you have a multiple method, you have to use a multiple method as a like post get based on that. So type will be the API gateway method. Like you can see like AWS API gateway, REST API, resources, method, like it has, right? Then property will be the API key required or not. So AWS has a like authentication, IAM authentication or custom API gateway. By default, it will false. Like you can use the IAM authentication also. If you have to, then you have to use it as true. And same is the authorization also. Like the IAM authorization true or false. So I'm keeping it none as a. I'm using a very basic a parameter. HTTP method is a post and integration. The connection integration will be the internet. Credential will be the like which role I'm going to use it. So Lambda API gateway IAM role ARN. So ARN, if you know that ARN is a resource number. Okay. So it's like generally it has a Amazon has a each and every resource has a different ARN particular to that. Then integration method will be post, pass through behavior will be no. These are the very standard to use it. Okay. And what will be URL? Now, what is a URI? URI is like this method called to which backend. Here I can use my Lambda ARI. So I have to mention that either based on the region, AWS region, and then if you have a different region specified to like if your API gateway to this US East 1 and your Lambda is related to ESS 2, then you have to mention properly. You can use as a parameter in the top also by choice parameter. And here I'm going to use the Lambda API gateway as an ARN. So this will be, you will see that in a below when you go with complete with this, what is these are. And operation name will be the Lambda. So operation name is like the API gateway has a different operations. So age, Lambda, S3 bucket endpoint. So I have to select the Lambda as the operation name. Then resource ID, REST API ID. So resource ID, like this is resource ID, right? We can refer as using a exclamatory refer and the name of the resource, exclamatory refer, the name of the REST API. Okay. Second is the Lambda API gateway models. So this is like which type of REST API I'm going to use. It's like application XML, application CSV or JSON, or maybe the multi-stream that you have to use the model using. So these are very standard. You can find the content type of supported by the API gateway in the documentation. Now we're going to use here the application JSON base. Which REST API I have to point it, the reference variable, and this one. Now, second is a stage. Like API gateway has a stage concept. So Lambda API gateway stage, like type will be the stage as API gateway. Property will be deployment ID and description. What description is there, REST API ID, and what is the stage name I have to use it. So I'm going to use a V0 as a stage name. You can use any V1, V2, V3, or maybe slash dev slash test kind of stage you can differentiate. Next is the Lambda API gateway deployment. So it has a type of the API gateway deployment and depend on the which services depend on the Lambda API gateway method. So it depend upon the this method. So I have to mention the which depend on the which resources. And these are the basic property like which REST API I have to point it and the description of the particular deployment. Okay, so then here we are done with the creation of the REST API, like AWS API gateway. Now we'll move to the creation of the Lambda. Before we move to the Lambda, we are going to create the IAM role required for the Lambda executions and the API gateway execution. So these are the Lambda API gateway IAM role. The type will be IAM role. And you have to define the policy document here, like which resources is going to use it. And these are the standard actions like set TS assume role, we have to use it. And if you want to use extra parameter, right, extra policy, you have to mention it here. So my policy, I added Lambda access, and then what affect all the like Lambda execution. You can specify proper action, like I'm right now using the star, but you can specify the particular Lambda action like execute or edit something, you can use it. And which resources Lambda should the have. So like a get attribute ARN. So here we are not using a reference because we are going to use exact the resources ARN. That's why we are using the get attribute. Using get attribute, as I mentioned earlier, using get attribute, you can define properly the attribute or particular that resources. So dot ARN. Okay. Now next is the Lambda configuration. So Lambda API gateway SNS test, I'm giving a name for the testing purpose. The type will be the Lambda and function. This is a common one like description, handler, and the runtime. Here you have to select which runtime you have to use it, either Python, Node.js, Golang, C#, what runtime you have to use it, you have to mention it here. And this will be function name. You can define the function name and customly here also. I have used here the parameter. Okay. So I'm using the function name as a variable. So I'm going to use as a reference and function. It will reference to the particular time. And that can be like passed through the dynamically also. And here is the code thing. So Lambda has a two type of code. You can do the inline code also. You can do the upload the code of the GIF file to S3 bucket, and you can refer it to the particular. So I'm using it the S3 bucket as a artifact bucket and S3 key as a Lambda artifact key. Then which role Lambda is going to use it? Lambda IAM role. This is the below. After that, I have created a Lambda ARN role. Memory size, as I mentioned, Lambda about that, you have to select the memory size, like, and the timeout option, like execution time generally. Next is the Lambda IAM role. Here we are going to use the Lambda execution rules. Like Lambda can have executions of what the services are required. So here I mentioned the Lambda SNS, AWS, and these are the policy document ARN to SNS star star star. So it will be called the SNS because we are going to map it the Lambda to the SNS as the a publisher. So we have to access to the SNS service also. So in the policy, we are defining this as a resources. And path will be a slash. There is no extra path for the Lambda. We are only using the base path only. So the path will be slash only. Now we are done with the Lambda part and Lambda execution rules. So we'll go to the jump to the next one, like SNS part. So we are going to use here the SNS like Lambda email alert SNS topic. So type will be as a topic. These are the basic one: topic name and display name of the particular SNS. What is the subscription? The endpoint can be your mobile number, endpoint can be another SNS, endpoint can be another Lambda, and can be your email address also. So I'm here using the email address, and protocol will the email JSON. So whatever the error I'm going to use it, right, fail it, right, I'm going to get an email for a failure execution in a JSON format. And now we are going to map it, the SNS to the Lambda using the Lambda event invoke config. This is also custom name, and the type will be the event invoke config. Here, the function name point, we have to point to the reference, and Lambda name. Whatever the Lambda name we are using here, we have to mention it here. Okay, and then these are the very standard parameters. Okay, like a qualifier, maximum, event, a second, maximum, tried. Destination will be our SNS topic. So using this point, like this is a destination and this is a subscriber publisher. So this will whenever there is executions happen, it will publish it, and it is a subscriber, which is a destination part. So here also we are using a reference pointer, map it to particular point, and there. So we are done with the walkthrough of the YML file. Okay, I have created a sample Lambda file in a Node.js, like simple index.js dot file. It has some basic code of the header parameters by like getting that bucket name, whether it's a file available in the bucket or not, and it has some try catch block. It's sample code only. So I'm going to use that one only. So let's do that one. Lambda GIF file. Okay, because we have mentioned here the artifact as a Lambda GIF file, so I rename it to the Lambda GIF file. Now we'll move to the AWS. We already logged into the AWS management console, so we'll just go to the first, because we have to upload it to the Lambda code to S3 bucket. So we'll go S3 bucket. So you can create your custom bucket for your execution purpose. I have created the AWS like demo purpose, like AWS UG BLR CNF demo. Okay, so I already have a Lambda chip, so let me just delete it and do it again. It's done. It is available in S3 bucket. Yeah. Now we'll go to the now uploading our template to the CloudFormation. Okay, so we'll just create a new resource as a stack. So you have to select, I mentioned already, right? Template ready, use sample, template in designer. This has a sample template, you can use it. You can use your designer also. So we have already customized the template. So we will select the template is ready. As I mentioned previously, there are two methods. Either you directly give a S3 URL, or you can upload a template to the particular that file. We'll just upload it here. We have sample YML. Okay. So next. So there is no error. That's why it successfully uploaded. We'll just give a name to the stack. AWS UG BLR demo. Demo. Now you see, right, this parameter. This parameter we have displayed in our Lambda here, the SAML file, right? These are the displayed here. Same thing are coming there as a default value. So if you have a multiple parameter, it will show displayed a multiple parameter from the template. It read it template and display it here. So you can runtime also, you can change the value of particular the variables, and but this will be a default value to set it. Now we are not going to use change this value, so we'll just go to the next. So let me do one thing. Okay. So here you can provide a tag. So we are not. This is not a mandatory thing. And I have already created the CNF role. CNF role has to be access to the creation of the uh, uh, our resources, whatever resources you are going to listed there, like a creation of AWS API gateway, creation of the Lambda resources, and creation of uh, the SNS also. So this has to be role as provided there. So I already created a CNF role for the inside the IAM role and assigned a policy for the creation of AWS API Gateway, Lambda, and SNS. We'll go to the next. Now this is the final step of review. This is the YML sample file. These are our parameters. And here we have to click to because in our Lambda we have a creation of the IAM rule also. So this is the extra thing we have to check it for the creation of we are giving option like permission to CloudFormation to create a IAM role based on the. So let's create a stack. Now just observe the event here. It will start as observe as a create in progress. So it says user initiated, right? Now we'll just refresh it. You can see here it's going the event by event, like create progress, whatever the logical ID you are putting it, right? Creation of email at alert, SNS topic, IAM role, everything is create progress. Whichever is a complete, it will show the create complete. Like that, it is a status. So it has the event life cycle of the particular resources which we are going to create it. And once everything is complete, it will show done with that. This is the last logical ID we are added in our SAML file. So it is completed. Now our Lambda is available. So we can just reconfirm it. You can see here it has created 1 minute ago Lambda API Gateway SNS test. As you mentioned in the Lambda name in our SAML file, right? Lambda API Gateway SNS. Same thing has been created in the Lambda. Apology for like bad internet. It's taking some time. Meanwhile, we can just see the Lambda API creations. Really, you can see Lambda API. The name is given here, right? the same name is a API point is coming. The resource name is a Lambda. So you can see here the resource name will be the Lambda. Yep, the source name is a Lambda, and we have defined a method is a post. So if you go to the post, you can see the Lambda integration pointed to here. Like you can see the integration like Lambda API gateway SNS. If you click on this, you can jump into the particular Lambda automatically. And this is the Lambda part. So it's loading our code here. This one. Okay, apology for I think I uploaded wrong folder, but it just move it to this index as file, so it will show the code here. Yeah. Ideally, you have to whatever code right here you have to create a zip file and upload it. So I wrongly uploaded the outside folder, so it comes with this also. So this folder is no longer required. I'll just remove it here. This is one our S. You can see our SNS subscription also we are pointed to here on failure API gateway Lambda integrations SNS point are there, and here we can just try with the test. You can do one small test on here whether it's execution or not. There's no request body, so we'll put empty JSON. So this is the defined error really for this one. So why is coming internal? Because we have changed that one. Let me just save that particular things. Deployed. Now it will throw the exact custom error once we test it. Yeah, that's the defined, not defined. The custom error is coming. Okay, these are all about like creation of cloud formations. So as I walk through on the particular cloud formation, right, it has a beautiful tools to create our deployment package. Now let me answer you why it's magic also, because it give a control to developer or any organization to manage their infrastructure. Okay, and like if anything is failure also or something is wrong in a production or any environment, you can still restore your the infrastructure by using the cloud formation. That was it called as a magic. Okay, so now I'm done with the demo. Any questions? I think we'll go to the discussion forum. These are the references I've given. So you can, I'll just share my the PPT link in a chat, and you can just refer to the particular that references which generally I refer while doing the researches. And now, thank you. Generally, these
Hey,
are my contacts. You can reach out to my contact to Village and Lily. Yeah. Now over back to the
sure.
Runsi.
Yeah. Thanks, Avinash. So that was like a great insightful session on cloud formation. We have few questions. That's why let me just pop that up on the screen. The first one is, yeah. How do we debug the cloud formation template if there is an error in the YAML or the JSON file? Hello, Avinash. Yeah. Okay. You are back. Did you get the question?
Okay. So as I shown, let me share it again. My screen. Yeah. 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 I got the question. I'm just answering the question. So let me share and show it like how they can debug it. So in a cloud formation, right, whenever you're uploading a template, right, when you click on the next, right, it automatically validate your template and it throw the error in top of that this error. Okay, whatever the error. So I have some list of the common error listed here, like a template format error, like resource definition is a malform. So when it malform, it say that it generally syntax error or not following the template format particularly. Like unresolved references, like whichever the reference, like our reference you have pointed, it uh, not available in a template, that is the error. And function name validation, sometimes the values of the function name exceed allowed value, but it exactly show the details about the error in here. And even if your creation of template, right, if something wrong, it showed in our, let me show you the creation of tag event. If anything wrong, it is not created. Like what is the benefit of cloud formations? It's like if anything wrong with any of the resources, like it roll back and doesn't create any of the resources. But in a status reason, it exactly pointed to what is the status reason why that particular event or resources are not created. Like example, if function name is exceeding the more than particular allowed character, it will show in a here the error. Like this is the thing, it not follow, make a changes and then re-upload it again. And when you're deleting the cloud formation, it delete all the resources which are created already. But if you see the failure or rollback, right, it means that the resources are not created. I hope I answer your question.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, thanks, Avinash. I think that
Yeah.
was like a good insight. The other one is, let me scroll on. Yeah, here. So, Tulsi Prasad is asking to elaborate the managed third-party and private resources with example.
Okay, generally manage third party, like if you want to use any of the third party resources, what you got, the endpoint or any other uh, like particular company are, but the thing is like, but I have not used exactly, but if a particular company are using the same AWS as an account, they can give a ARN or they can give a REST endpoint particular to map it to Lambda, and that can be managed. Like I'm not sure about exact point of third party, like whether it's allowed out of the AWS, because I haven't tried that. But I'll be happy to try out that and get back to you.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Avinash. The next question is from Saikat Ghosh, who's asking what's the benefit of choosing CloudFormation over Terraform?
Okay. I have not used the Terraform, so not sure about the what benefit is it generally, but I think I have to explore it, like why Terraform. So what is the benefit? But I feel the cloud formation is very easy because like I have to create only template for my infrastructure and then like deploy it. And if you want to do a rollback or anything, we can do it. So Runsi, you have any information about Terraform?
No, not much. I mean,
Okay.
one thing that I can think straight away right off the bat is probably since Terraform is sort of like a third party, and since AWS keeps on updating their services more often, so obviously the first support from infrastructure as code would come in CloudFormation and then to the other one. So this is
Yes.
just a
Yeah.
guess, probably. Yeah, I don't know.
Yep. Yes. Yes.
I guess that's about it. We do not have any more questions. Let me just scroll again quickly. Yeah, I think the others have been answered by Satya, so I think we are good. So yeah, good. So thanks, Avinash. So once again, we have like a good interactive session here. So people are chiming in with the questions and everything. So that was well received, and we also have some comments from few people that it even for like a beginner, it was able to understand from your demo. So that's good. So yeah, thank you again. And so you have any
How do
final
I?
words, Avinash?
Yeah. How do I share the GitHub links and the PPT linked in over the chat? So I think.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
have
good
a
question. So please do share it to me, and I
okay.
can post it to the community. And please do share your deck also and
Sure,
your links or anything, and then we can just post it out to the whole community so that everyone gets access.
sure. I'll
Sure,
put it to your email. Yep.
sure, yeah,
Thank you, Runsi, and thank you, AWS Bangalore Group, for inviting me to give a knowledge session. Thank you.
sure. Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.
See you. Bye
Yeah.
bye.